that you need to get honest first about your finances, right? So I always sit down with people and I say, okay, what does it cost you to run your life per month? And whatever number they give me, I always add an extra 1,000, sometimes two, right? Because they go, it cost me $4,000 a month. And I'm like, okay, 6. Like, do you ever eat out? Do you ever go on vacation? Does your car ever break down? Life happens, right?
Yeah, everyone we speak to, similar to that, we say, we need your survival goal.
Right.
We need your good life goal. We need your dream goal for your first 12 months.
Right.
Because you ask for one number, it's never accurate. You ask for the 3 numbers, you start to, there's usually reasoning that comes behind it too. So you should probably ask yourself that, what's my survival goal? What's my good life goal?
Right.
What's my dream goal for the next 12 months?
Right.
And, you'll start to learn a lot about yourself when you put that number on paper.
Yep. I'll give you one more and then give me some feedback on it. Are you struggling in this market to find your way, to find your business, to find the income you, your family, the people you care about the most deserve from you? Do not give up hope. Instead, take this as a calling. This is your action plan for the second half of the year or wherever you find yourself listening to this. To help you get there, I've got my buddy Doug Edrington, the top team in all of Chattanooga, longtime client, longtime friend, wildly successful. I literally just said to Doug, you run a team, you run a business, you are an agent, you've been doing this for a long time, you've seen the cycles, you've worked through the cycles. What are the most important things someone that is struggling today in this market has to do to right the ship?
Where do we start? Got a lot to unpack.
Oh, yes, we do. So Doug, Chattanooga, Berkshire Hathaway, right? On pace this year. How many transactions will you guys do?
Probably 500 transactions.
Okay, so 500 transactions, which any way added up is just a lot of experience. How long in the business total?
I just turned 18 as a real estate agent the other day. I had the Facebook memory that popped up. 18 years of a license.
Are you even 40 yet?
38.
38. I had a feeling. All right, so
I was a
literally almost half of your adult life. So let's take this topic. The woman listening to this right now, the guy listening to this right now is like, finally, okay, so just get to it. Tell me what I have to do. What's the first thing that somebody has to do to right the ship?
Well, we got to figure out what the why is, and I think we should all stop comparing ourselves to the idols that we put locally.
Yes.
Because I will say 18 years in the business, it was easier to get started then than it was today.
I agree.
Back then it was like open house, floor duty.
Right.
And that was kind of it.
Well, there was no Zillow Flex. There was no, market leader VIP. There's no open. You didn't have all these arbitrage companies. So back then, just for the context, the early days of lead generation, just to speak to this, was we'd sell 5 million houses and there'd be about 5 million leads generated. Today, there's 200 million leads generated and we sell 4.2 million houses. Right. So there's just a lot of, I don't want to say waste out there, but there's a lot of confusion. So
figure out what your why is, right?
Thank you.
Because it's not.
How do I do that?
Well, I think I'm a big fan of surrounding myself with as many people as I possibly can that I can learn something from, right? You've said it many times, don't compare yourself to others, but I can't help it. I still compare myself to others.
Right.
From a competitive standpoint, from a goal set point, like I do want to be like them. But at the same time, I think you got to be really careful that you don't end up putting yourself in a position that I can't get like that person because they have a different advantage.
You start to feel bad. Yeah.
Yeah. Feelings are tough sometimes, right?
Right. So let me give a little tactical insight to keep that conversation flowing. I would say to you that you need to get honest first about your finances, right? So I always sit down with people and I say, okay, what does it cost you to run your life per month? And whatever number they give me, I always add an extra 1,000. Sometimes 2, right? Because they go, it cost me $4,000 a month. And I'm like, okay, 6. Like, do you ever eat out? Do you ever go on vacation? Does your car ever break down? Life happens, right?
Yeah, everyone we speak to, similar to that, we say, we need your survival goal.
Right.
We need your good life goal. We need your dream goal for your first 12 months.
Right.
Because you ask for one number, it's never accurate. You ask for the 3 numbers, you start to, there's usually reasoning that comes behind it too. So you should probably ask yourself that, what's my survival goal? What's my good life goal?
Right.
What's my dream goal for the next 12 months?
Right.
And, you'll start to learn a lot about yourself when you put that number on paper.
Yep. I'll give you one more and then give me some feedback on it. The second thing I think you need to ask yourself is, who would I do it for? It being whatever it takes to pull yourself out of this and make money. I have just found, Doug, that I will do infinitely more for others than I will for myself. And even in the early days of my career, I found myself, like in the beginning, running my dad's company. I wanted to I wanted him to be happy. I wanted him to be successful. I wanted him to recognize me for the work that I was doing. So sure, I was making, some shekels and making some money, but it was far more about the significance that helping him than it was helping my wife, helping my family, helping my friends, helping my coaches, helping my clients. So I would challenge you to say, who are you willing to put your ass on the line for to make a public declaration about what you're going to do? Because I just find we don't break those promises. We might break the promise of when we say to ourselves in the mirror, today I'm going to make phone calls. Today I'm going to follow up. Today I'm going to do more. Today I'm going to book an appointment. Oh, I got busy. But if you have your 5-year-old, your 7-year-old, your 13-year-old, your grandmother, your aunt that raised you, and you say to them, I'm going to do this, buy that. And when I do, here's the reward for us, or here's the pain for us. They will hold you accountable in a rigorous way, and you won't even need it because you put your butt on the line for people you care for. Thoughts?
I agree wholeheartedly. At the same time, I'm just thinking of an agent that I was talking to the other day that is parents aren't around, single,
right,
and even though he doesn't have that necessarily that person, he was already future pacing. It's like, you know what, my future wife, my future kids, my future, and so whether you say that's for yourself or that's for your future loved ones around you, like just get really clear on that. So I couldn't agree more.
Okay. And the last one I would say just on this why is I think we need to connect the dots emotionally. Like why could be, it doesn't have to be this 30-year vision, right? It can be at a certain level, right? To pull us forward. Man on the moon, bring him back in 10 years without anybody dying, right? Like this big monster, audacious, moonshot goal. Sometimes it's just, what do I do on a daily basis to light the fire? So I don't know about you, but I find myself, when I open up YouTube in the morning as I'm searching for something, inspirational or motivational, muck still shows up inside there. Oh, this political, oh, that, or just nonsense, right? Because it's just, they're always trying to feed you stuff. But I find quick search, motivation, quick search, inspiration, quick search, light the fire, quick search. Arnold Schwarzenegger doing a talk, which I just listened to this morning. It was hysterical, right? But I know I got 5 rules for you, right? Like, as funny as it sounds, like I'm listening to this and I sent it to both my boys, sent it to my wife. And I know someone's going, I don't like Arnold. It doesn't matter. It's just, I try every single day to light the fire because we know when we create a couple of new synapses in our head, we know when we hear something that gets us going, it's inspiration, right? It's I want to be imbued every day with the spirit to act. So I'm not just doing it to get fired up. I'm doing it to give myself the energy so I have to go do that thing that I'm not on empty when I start. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
What about you?
I love that you share it too, because I've gotten clips from you. Gino randomly sends me these clips all the time, right? But then if you make it a point every single morning to get that inspiration or whatever routine you're on, get that inspiration, you share it with others, that law of reciprocity kicks in and you'll start to see them starting to share stuff with you. And it's like, wait a minute, this might be my purpose. This is what I'm here for.
Right. So for our listener, just to be clear that, old mentor friend, Tony Robbins would say it's 80% psychology, 20% tactics. And I could make the argument, depending on who you are, it could be 50% psychology and 50% strategy and tactics. It could be 95-5. It doesn't make a difference. There is a big percentage of what we do every day that starts with getting your head on straight, getting fired up, acting as if, moving forward, putting your shoulders back, right, and go. So you got to do that, right? That is paramount. Beyond that, let's go into the tactics. You wrote down a bunch of stuff that, if you were in that slump, if you were in that, I don't mean to call your situation a slump, but you know what I'm talking about. You're not getting the results you want. Walk us through, just rip through the entire list and then we'll unpack them. Go.
Okay. So I just wrote down a couple things here. Open mind, have an open mind and stop choosing to be ignorant. I feel like many of us choose to be ignorant because we're not willing to recognize that, hey, someone can help us. AI can help us now. I mean, how often are you brainstorming, right?
Right before our
Told me to rip through the list, so I'm going to slow down. But,
all right, so have an open mindset to trying something new.
But I think stop choosing to be ignorant, right?
Yes.
The next one I put down here, repeating the wrong is a waste of time and actually damaging.
Oh, so don't keep doing the same stuff that isn't getting results.
If you found yourself saying, I've made 150 calls in the past 2 days and have gotten no appointments, don't go for 151 doing the same thing.
Right. Go for 150, try a totally different presentation, try a totally different script, right? Maybe go knock on doors, right?
We need to get help.
Okay, go to the next one.
Your first attempt at doing first attempt that I've ever done at doing anything, right? Usually is a lesson, right?
Yes.
We could say it's a failure, it's a screw up, but like it's a lesson, right?
Yeah.
I think that also includes who you partnered with.
Yes.
Most people I speak to in this business, they got in the business because of a friend or convenience of location or something of that nature.
Yep.
And so if you fell off the bike for the first time, why is it any different that you might have chosen the wrong location for the first time?
Right.
Right. So I think we could dive deep into that. Master one thing at a time. One thing at a time.
Okay.
I think new agent, struggling agent.
Trying to chase 47 rabbits catches nothing, right? Sort of
Absolutely.
metaphorically, but true. Okay.
Absolutely.
All right. I have a whole thought around that.
I'm sure you do. Understand you have choices. It's easy to make change. It's also easy not to make change.
Yes.
Yeah.
So a lot of your stuff is psychological, but I know there's a lot to unpack. I'm going to go a different direction for a second, and then let's talk about each one of these. So case study. Client of mine, Bob Kuiper. Shout out to Bob. Bob became a coach with me. I knew him back in the days at my dad's. I was his coach then. When I transitioned and started this new business 20 years ago, he followed over eventually, and then we started doing more stuff together. But Bob was an office manager who transitioned to becoming a real estate agent, right? Up in Minnesota. I think he was with Remax at the time. And when he transitioned from manager to agent, he thought, I've been helping agents like sell houses forever. I got this, no problem, man.
This will be easy.
Right? This will be easy. So he does like 28 deals his first year, which was really darn good, right? Mm-hmm. Past clients and sphere and relationships. And back then there was none of the ways you could arbitrage leads today. Sweat equity, right? Doing the work. The next year he goes from 28 to 61. Right. And this is when I started really working with him. We made that big jump, and it was like him and Debbie Holloway and all these people I was coaching at the time that were just all remarkable. And everybody was at about 60 transactions trying to go to 120. We start the new year. Bob puts together his last escrow of the year. And for him at the time, it was like a $1.2 million transaction, which was like 4 times the size of his average sales price.
Big deal.
So he is starting the year in his mind with like 4 deals. And on like January 7th, the deal falls apart. He has no listings. He has no escrows. He's got a lot of leads in the pipeline because he's doing the work, but literally calls me in a panic and says, I'm starting over. And I'm like, perfect. I have the Bob Kuiper plan. He's like, what's that? In fairness, I think I pulled it out of my booty in the moment and said, this is what we should do. And now understand, Bob is married. He's got kids. He's got responsibilities. Going back to the, sort of why behind this, I said, here's what I want you to do. I want you to be at your office by X time. You decide on the time. I think he said like 8:30. And I said, okay, when you get there, I want you to do a quick search on the MLS because those that know the market are the most intelligent agents. So you got to just scan really fast, what's selling, what's not selling, what, price per square foot, just get an understanding of the market. Then I want you to role play for just 5 or 6 minutes. And I don't care if you stand in the corner and look in the mirror and go, me, just warm up before you call anybody because the people I'm going to have you call first are the ones that are most likely going to do something. And he's like, okay, like who? And I go, then I want you to go for 30 to 45 minutes on every new expired and every expired you haven't talked to in the last 30 days. And he goes, I don't call expireds. I said, well, you do now because you have no escrows, nothing going on. And even in today's environment, I've had multiple people in this room today and they're like, Carolyn Young, hey, I'll get 35 or 40 listings this year from expireds. Yes, even in this crazy market, they're happening. So he starts calling expireds, give him a couple scripts and dialogues, tell him to just come from a sense of contribution. Hey, your home didn't sell. If I brought you an offer yesterday, what would you have accepted? If you were to move, what would you like to, just, all the things that we know, right? Does that. Then go for sale by owners. Now, already this person's watching going, what? I don't want to do either one of those. To which my response is the path that you've taken has gotten you here. Choose another path. He does FSBOs. There was 3 or 4 in the market, right? So every day he's, and this, like this has been a bread and butter for you. He does that. Then I say, then I want you to do a set of follow-up sessions where you're following up on anybody that you missed the day before, any promises you made, any follow-ups that you need to do every day. Then I want you to spend the last 90 minutes just calling your past clients in Sphere and checking in. How you doing? It's been forever. What's going on? What's shaking bacon? Blah, 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 whatever the script at the time was. But it was 3 hours. 3 hours. He finished that year at over 120 transactions closed and pending, starting with basically 0. And what he got from that is the person what he got was not that I was playing small or playing safe. It's that he'd always basically ran his business doing just enough. He had never really pushed it. You know what I mean? Like he'd never really said, what would going for gold look like? You know, that millimeter difference between first place and second place in the middle of like talking to a buddy of mine, Apollo Ono, right? Speed skater, right? Like talking to him and he's like, I would win by like that much. By that much. And he said, to win by that much was I just did more than everybody else, right? The great, Muhammad Ali line when Arnold Schwarzenegger asked him, how did you get such amazing abs? And Muhammad Ali says, I just do a lot of crunches. And he's like, well, how many do you do? And he goes, I don't know because I don't count until it starts to hurt. So I have no idea how many sit-ups I'm actually doing. What if just one time in your life, in my life, we went for it that hard? Like you hear about these workout routines, 75 hard, or back in the day, it was like Fit for Life, or any other one of those programs. They all basically say the same thing. We're going to do something every single day, every single day, every single day, every single day, until you get into momentum. And that is where the power is. So when I say all that, you're a coach, you're a mentor to so many.
Well, I'm thinking,
what are you thinking?
I'm thinking as you're talking here, every single example you used, including the first one, his name's Bob?
Bob Kuiper.
Bob, okay. I haven't had the pleasure to meet him yet.
Yes.
But someone pushed him. Someone challenged him.
Right.
And so if you're doing it alone, who's going to push you? It's not like you wake up one morning and say, I'm going to be a sprinter.
No.
Like that.
Today I'm going to be a marathon runner.
That never happens. It absolutely never happens. So I think it's a lot of it has to do with whether it be a coach, a mentor, a broker, a team leader, an accountability partner, a buddy. Right. Sometimes it's your spouse.
Right.
That says, why are you still in bed?
Yes. Get your ass out. Get to work.
So I think it's making sure that you have someone there with you along with your journey to get just literally that much closer, which is the 1% game every single day.
Right. So the other side of that is for this person listening, and you have a lot of insight, so I'll say something and you unpack it, is you have to get honest about your schedule, right? And what you fill in it. So we believe that if it's in my schedule, it exists. If it's not in my schedule, it doesn't exist, and I've got to do it by memory. So I always think through, okay, so what is the highest and best use of your time? What are the activities so here you are in a hole trying to get out, right? So to your point, stop digging, right? Like get rid of the shovel, climb out of the hole, and let's start doing the activities that would help us. So studying the market, looking at property, previewing property, talking to other agents about pocket listings and opportunities, calling your database every single day, taking the Zillow text example that I've used so many times where I say, just take 100 people in your phone, type in their name, go to their address, right? And type it in Zillow or realtor.ca or realtor.com.au, wherever you are in the world, right? And literally just go and say, oh, hey, Doug, I was thinking about you this morning, screenshot of their property and send it to him. Hey, Doug, I was thinking about you this morning. I was on Zillow. What do you think about this price? Send. Just, what do you think about this price? Send. See, if you shake the tree enough, an apple's going to fall.
And that's a very non-threatening question, by the way. So they're probably going to have a conversation with you.
For sure. So schedule and behaviors. What are your thoughts?
Well, it takes me back to, 6 years ago. Brian Eliel called me.
Yes.
He says, hey, you should be a coach.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I said, and my first reaction was, like anybody, like, hey, I'm honored, I'm flattered, but there's no way. I have no time. There's absolutely no way. Right. And conversations continued and continued. Right. And next thing you know, I realized I was like, man, I actually have a lot of time. I didn't realize how much time I have.
Right.
And then when I started committing to something new, it became so important that if I don't live by a schedule, I'm going to fail somebody.
Yes.
And so continuing to live by that schedule, as elementary that it sounds, everything you said so far, even talking to Bob, it was all fairly elementary stuff. It wasn't like,
that's the point.
Here's a new shiny tool and you need to figure out how to drive this new Lamborghini.
Right. If anything, it's, for my friend listening, and thank you for being honest with yourself and clicking on this and saying, yeah, you know what?
This is calling to me.
Because how many people have we watched this year as we film this today that had a unbelievable run, 10, 20, all those years, and then into 20, into 21, into 22. And then for many, the wheels came off the second half of last year. And certainly the fourth quarter was really challenging. 7% interest rates, massively low inventory, lots of concern in the market, prices going down in many markets, a lot of concern. So I get where you're at. You got to do something. And my thing is, if not now, then when? And if not this, then what? Just make a decision. Just make a decision to say enough is enough. How long does it take when you say, I'm going to lose some weight. How long does it take before you start actually losing weight?
I think it depends your why, your motivation. I mean in
general. How long does it take?
In general,
Yeah.
you can start losing. I mean, if you made a decision today, you can wake up the next morning 2 pounds lighter.
Right. And how long does it take to have your spouse feel more in love with you today than they did the day before?
Could be one simple text. It could be one statement. It could be something easy. It's just a decision that you have to make.
And how fast could you find a piece of business if you absolutely had to?
It's the same thing. It's watch the YouTube channel and say, oh wait, there's a bazillion ideas. I just need to choose one. Right.
You could send an email to your database today. Now this may freak you out, but just play along. You could literally send an email to your entire database today and say, if I could sell your home for 8 to 10% above the Zillow's estimate, would you sell this summer? Bang. Someone's going to raise their hand.
Well, I remember in sales, when I had a tough day, I said, someone probably gave me this advice, but I thought, who are all the people that have given to me? I'm not talking about coaches. I'm not talking about real estate agents. I'm just talking about as I've grown. Who are people that have given me advice? Who are people that had picked me up when I needed it, whatever it may be? And why would they stop? So it's like, hey, let's just call them.
Yes.
Hey, sometimes you can be very vulnerable.
Second grade teacher.
Yeah.
Just thinking about you.
I'm kind of sometimes you can be very vulnerable if it's those people. Hey, I'm in a rut.
Yeah.
And I've made a decision not to be in a rut. And I thought, hey, I can help you. You can help me. So, what do we need to do in real estate? Or who do you know that we need to do something in real estate?
Right.
And people generally want to help others.
Oh, yes. And especially the people that you're talking about, the people that have always been there for you and you've always been there for them.
What did Tom Ferry say about was it him that talked about happiness, consistent happiness?
Sean Aker.
Was that Sean Aker?
Guest speaker at the summit this year. Yes.
Oh, okay. All right. Well,
three gratitudes and text one person, text, email, or call one person in the past who had an impact on your life and remind them why they're so special to you.
I remember
authentically.
Tom Ferry had a different version of that.
Yeah,
and it was the common denominator of all those people is they're always giving and they're always learning something new.
Yes.
And so call the happy people in your life because they're likely going to give you something.
Right.
And they're going to teach you something and hopefully you can return the favor through service of real estate.
Yeah. So I'm going to give you one last one and then we'll wrap it up. So I'm going to give him one last one. You got to punch it at the end.
Okay.
So you get to finish. I'm going to say to you, because we kind of went through the list, right? Master one thing, right? Morning routine, schedule. So the thing I would say to you is you just have to make a decision, right? We talked about it. It was in your notes. Like you got to decide that it's over, right? Having to make these calls. But beyond that, you got to understand that when you're in a rut, when you're down, you have an aura about you, right? You have like you walk into a room and kind of like all the living plants go, right? And then the second you leave, it's springtime again. Now, sometimes I call those people energy sucking vampires. I'm not calling you one, but you know what I'm saying because, when you are down, when a deal falls apart, when you feel like it's against all odds and you're pushing this giant rock, called work up a hill and you feel like you just keep falling backwards, that has an impact on your physiology. It has an impact on the look on your face. It has an impact on just the way you operate every single day. So you really, really, really got to get the tools and the mechanics of real estate are everywhere. You've got to get your head right. You got to say, against all odds, I am going to be the greatest story. This is going to be the greatest comeback. I'm literally talking to myself into it right now. Like you have to say, like here I am, this gal, divorced, ex-husband's a douchebag, no one likes me, and I'm going to become the best agent in my office. Like you've got to will yourself into it every single day because if you don't, this market will eat you up. And no one cares if you never sell a house again. No one cares. The market will find someone else to serve them. So you got to put your big boy and big girl pants on and you got to get out and you got to hustle your face off. But most importantly, you've got to get yourself in the right emotional state because you can do all the right activities, but you can come across wrong if up here is off. You with me on this? So that's my final thought. What's your final thought? Did I just steal your final thought?
That's hard to follow. That's absolutely hard to follow. It's like, okay, I want to close for Tom Ferry after his final
Bring it home, baby.
His final thought. I think it really comes down to like, as you're saying, so you got to surround yourself with the right people and you got to will yourself every morning. But I think there's magic when those two come together Because if you are doing this alone, which I would argue the majority of real estate agents in our industry are doing this alone.
Yeah.
Yes, they're part of a brokerage. Yes, they may be part of a team. Yes, they may be a part of a coaching network. But if you don't will yourself to lean into it, you're alone.
Yes.
You're alone. And loneliness is not fun for anybody.
No.
I think I heard someone say at one time, like, that's the worst form of punishment that the government gives you is
isolation.
Confinement, right?
Yep.
Yeah. And so just go ahead and choose to be as far from that as you possibly can, and start with just literally that accountability buddy, that leader, that mentor, whoever it may be.
That small text group of all your buddies.
The small
what are we
text
committed
group
to?
that you just constantly like maybe give a thumbs to, but you don't actually talk in. Like maybe you should just chime in right now and say, hey guys, I haven't been there.
Byron.
Where has Byron been?
Exactly.
Yeah. Yeah.
Bam.
They had me on the other day. Yeah, they made me feel old.
Okay, but don't even go there. So your advice is so good, Doug, because together we go further, we go farther, we go faster. Right?
Absolutely.
There's no I in team. It's all about we, and even if the we is Chris Heller and I were talking the other day. Big shout out to Chris Heller, former CEO of Keller Williams. I knew him when he was just getting started in the business. We did affirmations together. So my son is interviewing with him for a job, my older son. And he said, how long you know my dad? He says, well, I can tell you that before your dad married your mom at 5:45 in the morning, we would do affirmations. And he was one of my affirmation partners. And I know he had others and I had others. And we did that every single day because we were trying to become the men that we were dreaming of. And that we knew if we did this every day together, and Chris and I did that for years and years and years and years.
That man is so intentional.
He is so intentional, but for our friend here, it's the same thing. It's having that group. It's having those friends. We're all in this together. We're all fighting the good fight. We're going to pick each other up. We're going to celebrate with high fives. It's all of that and more. So leave a comment. Let us know what you're thinking. And you can always DM me on Instagram and say, I need to vary this, or can you give me that? Like I get a million, those things on DMs all the time. And by the way, it's always me answering because I misspell almost everything and I do some heart emojis and right. So that's me. But if you hit me up on Instagram, if you hit Doug on Instagram, same exact thing. Hey, I'm in this kind of market. This is what I'm working on. This is what I'm thinking about. You got questions. We got answers. We are here to serve. Does that make sense? Dude, thank you for just hamming it up with me on this show. This is a very important topic, and we shared a lot of value here.
Thanks for having me.
Appreciate you, brother.
Always.
Aura rings. Yes. All right. Let us know what you think. Leave a comment, and we'll see you soon. Get your ass to work. Go.